A woman named Morgan lives deep within the remote reaches of the Appalachian Mountains. Known for sharing her eerie experiences online, she's documented countless strange occurrences, but one in particular keeps repeating itself. Over time, Morgan has captured the same unsettling figure on camera multiple times. From a distance, it looks exactly like her husband. Same height, same build. But it never turns around. It just stands there, motionless, facing away from the camera every single time. But that's not the only disturbing thing she's recorded.
At my family's haunted farm, I was gonna come explore with my husband today, but he couldn't get off from work because he's boring, so I thought I'd bring you guys.
On several occasions, while filming alone, her audio equipment has picked up something chilling. The faint sound of a voice calling out, "Hey!" Locals call it the Appalachian hey, a mysterious phenomenon said to occur when something in the forest mimics a human voice to lure people closer. Those who live in the mountains warn that the woods are filled with mimics, entities that can take on the form and voice of those you trust most. And for Morgan, that warning may already be coming true. In 2017, a hiker known by the trail name Mostly Harmless began a long journey on the Appalachian Trail, walking from New York all the way to Florida. He carried no phone, no ID, only a notebook filled with handwritten computer code. Along the trail, he introduced himself simply as Denim or Mostly Harmless. Those who met him described him as polite, soft-spoken, and almost completely disconnected from modern life. Trail angels offered him food, water, and a place to rest. He accepted quietly, always grateful, but never shared much about his past or destination. Then, in July 2018, two hikers stumbled upon a tent deep in the Florida wilderness. Inside was the body of a man curled up in his sleeping bag. There were no signs of violence, no struggle, no foul play. His food supply had run out, and at only 83 pounds, he had clearly starved. With no identification or phone, authorities had no idea who he was. For more than 2 years, his case puzzled investigators. Despite clear photos, fingerprints, and widespread media attention, the man remained nameless. It wasn't until 2021 that DNA testing finally identified him as Vance Rodriguez, a tech worker from New York with a troubled past. Why he left everything behind to wander alone remains a mystery. But to those who crossed paths with him, he'll forever be remembered by his chosen name, Mostly Harmless. Lizzie, who loved venturing on remote hikes, had come across countless horror stories linked to the Appalachian Mountains. Out of curiosity, she and her friend Alexandria decided to rent a secluded cabin near the forest. That night, around 2:00 a.m., they were suddenly awakened by a voice shouting from outside.
Mike!
Ayúdenme, ayuda! Spanish for help. The cries echoed through the darkness, followed seconds later by the sound of gunfire. Paralyzed with fear, they stayed completely still, recalling the warnings shared by locals and hikers alike. Never respond to voices calling for help in the Appalachian woods after dark. When silence finally returned, they didn't dare move. The question lingered. Should they have gone to help? Or did they save themselves by following the unspoken rules of the Appalachian Trail? A woman had been living in her Appalachian home for about a year when she decided to rearrange her furniture. While moving 2 large bookshelves, she uncovered something unexpected. A door she had never noticed before. It had been sealed shut with tape, clearly hidden intentionally. Curious and uneasy, she invited a friend over to help her open it. When they finally pulled away the tape and turned the handle, they discovered a staircase leading up to a large attic she didn't even know existed. Dust covered every surface, and the air felt heavy, as if the space had been untouched for decades. After she shared the discovery online, The story quickly went viral. Many commenters speculated that the door had been sealed for a reason, perhaps to keep something inside. And given that the house stood deep in Appalachia, a region known for its eerie folklore, people couldn't help but wonder if something far more unsettling had once lived behind that hidden door. Adam was hiking with his father, but at one point he found himself walking alone along the trail. That's when something strange happened.
Passed someone on the trail, like a guy. He looked like he was like from the 80s. He was wearing a full suit that like looked like he was from the 80s, and I was like, ew, I don't like that. I got a weird vibe from him. And look at what I just found. Is this not like terrifying? Should I open it?
The man didn't speak. He simply placed a briefcase on the ground beside the trail, turned around, and walked away without another word. Curious but unsettled, Adam hesitated before finally opening the case. Inside, there was only a single object, an old, weathered map dated 1989. Nothing else. No explanation, no clue as to who the man was or why he left it there. As Adam looked around, he realized the suited stranger was still somewhere nearby, watching from a distance. The encounter left him wondering, had he just come face to face with a time traveler from the 1980s? Around 2:45 a.m., a TikToker recorded this eerie clip in the Appalachian foothills. Later, when they brightened the footage, they noticed something unsettling. Nothing should have been moving out there, especially not at that hour, in a place so remote and silent. Yet in the video, a dark, shadow-like figure can be seen crossing the trail in the distance. The movement was quick, deliberate, and unnervingly human-shaped, but according to the person who filmed it, there was no sound. No footsteps, no rustling, nothing at all. They were completely alone that night, or at least they thought they were. To this day, they still have no explanation for what the camera caught in the darkness. A Reddit user once posted what appeared to be an ordinary photo of a forest floor, just a scattering of dry leaves, branches, and twigs. At first glance, nothing about it seemed unusual. But on closer inspection, something dangerous was hiding in plain sight. Blending almost perfectly with the earthy tones around it was a copperhead snake, its pattern nearly indistinguishable from the fallen leaves. The camouflage was so flawless that most people didn't notice it until it was pointed out. It served as a stark reminder of how easily nature conceals its predators. One careless step on that peaceful trail could have turned an innocent hike into a life-threatening encounter. A Reddit user shared a chilling experience that took place at their friend's home deep in the Appalachian Mountains. A man had been staying there temporarily when something strange began to occur. For 3 consecutive nights, right at 3:08 a.m., someone, or something, knocked on the front door exactly 3 times. Each time, the dogs inside erupted in frantic barking, but moments later, everything went completely silent again. The pattern repeated night after night, leaving everyone inside on edge, gripped by the uneasy sense that they were being watched from the darkness outside. On the 3rd night, the friend decided to take a photo of the yard, hoping to catch whatever was causing the disturbance. Even after adjusting the brightness and contrast, the image revealed only a faint, shadowy figure near the edge of the property. Unclear and indistinct, but unmistakably there. Something was out there. The question was, what? This home security footage from a house in Appalachia captured something rather peculiar.
Ooh, do it one more time.
Yep.
That's
See
amazing.
if I can go, oops, slower.
Yeah.
Just curious.
Oh my goodness. You see the legs on that sucker? Girl, what?
It's a
Are
hornet.
You kidding? No,
It's a
when did
hornet.
hornets start looking like
Look at that.
That is not no hornet and a hornet where?
In the clip, something small and fast flies past the camera in broad daylight, catching the attention of the 2 women watching the playback. One of them casually assumed it was just a hornet, but the other insisted it didn't look like any insect she'd ever seen. The object appeared to have legs, or at least something resembling them, and seemed to move with a strange, almost deliberate motion rather than the random flight pattern of a bug. The pair replayed the footage several times, trying to make sense of what they were seeing. Was it really just an insect caught at the right angle, or something more mysterious? Something that looked almost magical? Whatever it was, It left them both wondering what exactly had flown by their camera that day. What he captured on camera wasn't just unsettling, it was downright terrifying.
What the fuck?
A young woman, practicing what seemed to be a scream therapy session deep in the woods, let out a loud, echoing shriek. But right after her scream faded, something unexpected happened. Out of nowhere, a man suddenly appeared in the frame, clearly startled and caught off guard in a very compromising moment. The timing was so uncanny that it felt almost staged, but the look of panic on his face was far too genuine. The brief, chaotic encounter turned what was supposed to be a harmless moment into something both bizarre and unnerving, leaving viewers unsure whether to laugh or feel creeped out. A group of campers were driving home late at night, taking a secluded back road that ran alongside a cornfield. As their headlights curved around a bend, something unusual appeared ahead. A tall, stick-like figure standing motionless in the middle of the road. It didn't look as though it had fallen or been placed there. It stood perfectly upright, balanced in a way that felt disturbingly unnatural. There was no sign of movement nearby. No cars, no people, no reason for it to be there. The quiet emptiness of the countryside only made the moment more unsettling. Out in the darkness, surrounded by endless fields, the strange figure seemed completely out of place. The campers didn't stop to investigate. With the eerie image burned into their minds, they continued driving, relieved to be heading home. And for more chilling encounters caught in the dark. A hiker and his family were driving through a wide, open section of the Appalachian Meadows when they unexpectedly encountered a woman standing alone in the middle of an empty field. She seemed agitated and began shouting angrily.
I have kids in the car, you better go. I have kids in the car, you better go.
What?
Who is that? Who is that?
They're calling me a damn fucking kid!
I got you on video. You better get that.
Jeff's after you.
Jeff's right there, he ain't doing shit.
You're the one to say something about my damn son! And I got all over recording.
Her outburst appeared disconnected and confused, as if she were arguing with someone who wasn't there. The hiker tried to stay calm while keeping his distance, observing her erratic behavior from inside the vehicle. It was clear something was deeply wrong. She seemed caught between fear and rage, mentioning names and responding to voices that no one else could hear. The tension grew heavier with every second as her shouting echoed across the open landscape. No one could determine what set her off or what she was reacting to. The encounter was both disturbing and unpredictable, leaving the family feeling uneasy and vulnerable in the middle of nowhere. Fortunately, after several tense minutes, the woman's aggression faded, and she appeared to settle down. Once it seemed safe, the hiker quietly restarted the car and drove away, grateful that the bizarre situation hadn't turned violent. In January 2022, a hunter on an expedition in the Appalachian Mountains recorded something unusual.
Stupid to walk out here in a suit. Get shot. He's right behind that tree. Nothing. Look. And his hair's gray and black. Is that gray or is that snow?
While scanning the tree line, he spotted a large figure moving slowly among the trees. The figure appeared massive, with what seemed to be gray and black hair, though it was unclear whether that was its coloring or patches of snow. Throughout the footage, it remained partially hidden behind the trunks, making it nearly impossible to tell who or what the hunter had captured that day. One evening, a woman was unwinding in her Appalachian home when something outside caught her attention. Just beyond the kitchen window stood a figure, staring straight through the glass. In Appalachia, there's one rule locals never ignore: always cover your windows after dark. But that night, she didn't. And ever since, many have wondered, why break a rule that's meant to keep you safe? While walking his dog in the Appalachian woods near his home, a Reddit user came across something both disturbing and intriguing. Out of curiosity, he took it back with him, but soon decided to throw it away after realizing it gave off a horrible stench. He also didn't want his dog anywhere near it. In hindsight, that was probably the right call, because bringing something like that home never seems like a good idea. The object looked unsettling, almost evil. Was it some kind of witchcraft, or something else entirely? In July 2008, a man went out with his camera, hoping to capture some wildlife on a warm summer afternoon. But instead of spotting elk or deer, he recorded something far more unusual. It wasn't a bear, and it was certainly not a person. When the mysterious figure finally stepped into view, he couldn't believe what he was seeing, and neither can we. In June 2020, Jimmy Reynolds spotted two glowing green eyes staring at him from the woods near his porch. Living deep in the forest, he assumed it was just a common animal. But as he stepped closer, the figure swiftly retreated into the darkness.
Oh. See, there it is. Hey! Oh, what the f***? You'll see that.
Uneasy, Jimmy returned inside, trying to shake off the chill that crept up his spine. The encounter brought to mind the unsettling stories locals often shared about the woods, tales of strange creatures lurking after dark. When he later shared the footage online, many viewers speculated that the glowing eyes might belong to something far stranger, perhaps a skinwalker or a crawler. Still, Jimmy remained calm, convincing himself it was nothing more than a cat. A trail camera positioned near the Greenbrier River Valley in West Virginia recorded something out of the ordinary. The image appeared to show what many believe could be Bigfoot. It was captured just a few miles from the man's home, in a remote stretch of the Appalachian Mountains, long known for strange encounters. For decades, locals have spoken of chilling howls that echo through the forests at night and massive footprints found deep in the woods. With this new image surfacing, some are now wondering, could this trail cam have finally captured Bigfoot on camera? Brand, a solo YouTuber hiking along the Appalachian Trail, began his morning early after a calm night of rest. The terrain was demanding, but the scenery made every step worthwhile. Later that day, he discovered a secluded area deep in the forest that seemed perfect for a stealth campsite. However, just as he prepared to move on, something unsettling occurred.
Hey, talk about creepy. I was just down at that stealth site there checking it out, talking about it, and I heard and saw a hiker coming down the trail. And I thought I'd stay at the campsite and wait for the hiker to pass. And the hiker never passed, and there's nobody here, and it's freaking me out right now. I've got chills up and down my spine. And I saw a person with a pack on, wearing hiking clothes. There's no way they passed me. Yeah, this is weird. I'm getting out of this spot. I'm telling you, that's if the animal den wasn't enough. Yeah, this is the spot where I thought I saw somebody. You know, honestly, that's the second time today that that's happened. And the first time is when I was sawing that log. And I looked over and I was like, oh, someone's coming up the trail. The log will be sawed for them when they get here. And there was never anybody there. And I think I might have just saw a leaf. I don't know.
While exploring the spot, he suddenly noticed what appeared to be another hiker approaching from down the trail. Expecting them to pass by, he waited, but no one ever did. The woods were completely silent, and the strange absence sent chills down his spine. He was certain he had seen a person carrying a backpack, dressed for hiking, yet there was no trace of them. Feeling uneasy, he decided to leave the area. The presence of an old animal den nearby only added to the tension. It was the same place where he believed he'd seen someone earlier. Oddly, this wasn't the first strange moment of the day. A man who lived near the Appalachian Mountains often hiked alone and had never encountered anything out of the ordinary, until one particular trip.
Huh?
While out on the trail, he captured a sound unlike anything he'd heard before. It might have been an animal, but the tone was strange, too sharp, too unnatural to fit any familiar wildlife call. The scream echoed through the forest, sending a chill down his spine. He couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching from the trees. Was it just coincidence, or his first truly eerie Appalachian encounter? These hikers were trekking along the Devil's Backbone, a narrow, rocky trail known for its unsettling legends and mysterious sightings. As they made their way through, they rang a bell to keep wildlife away. But moments later, something unusual occurred. A dark figure seemed to materialize behind them for just an instant before disappearing without a trace. The sudden sight left them alarmed and uneasy. However, after reviewing the footage more closely, they realized it wasn't a person at all, just a tree branch casting a near-perfect illusion. A hiker captured something unusual on camera, something he couldn't quite explain. Drifting silently through the trees was a glowing red orb, bright and fiery, yet making no sound at all. There was no smoke, no trail, no sign of where it had come from. Just this strange sphere rising slowly through the forest. Some viewers believed it could be a spirit from old tribal legends, while others suggested it might have been a flare or even a drone. But according to the hiker, the light didn't move or behave like anything man-made. To this day, no one has been able to give him a clear explanation of what that glowing object really was. While staying in a cabin deep in the Appalachian Mountains, a woman was jolted awake late at night by a sudden noise outside. Half asleep and uneasy, she got up to check the porch, expecting maybe an animal, or nothing at all. When she opened the door, the porch was completely empty. The woods were silent, still, and dark. She turned to head back inside. And that's when it happened again. The same sharp noise echoed through the night, closer this time, right behind her. While exploring a mountain river deep within the Appalachian forest, a group of Russian tourists claimed to have witnessed something extraordinary. Standing in the water was a massive, dark figure with an oddly cone-shaped head and unusually long arms. It towered above the river's surface, turning toward them for just a few seconds, long enough to make brief, chilling eye contact, before vanishing into the dense woods as quickly as it appeared. The group couldn't explain what they saw, but its description matched that of one of the region's most famous legends, Bigfoot. Years later, in 2014, another sighting surfaced. A group of kids playing in the snowy woods near a treehouse began filming after spotting something unusual moving between the trees.
Anything happening?
What is that?
What?
Whoa. Oh!
What?
It's like a bear!
Oh,
What is it?
crap, where is it? Oh my god.
What is it?
Oh god, I saw it again.
It looks like a Bigfoot!
Look at it there again.
Yeah, Bigfoot?
Shit,
Oh,
I see it.
it better not be invading our house!
What looked at first like a bear stood upright, walking on two legs, before disappearing behind the brush. When they checked the footage later, the dark shape was unmistakable, and the next morning, they found enormous, human-like footprints in the snow. While living deep in the mountains, over 500 kilometers from the nearest beach, a couple encountered something they never expected. Early one morning around 5 a.m., the wife went into the kitchen to grab a glass of water. Moments later, her scream echoed through the house. Her husband rushed in and froze at what he saw, a massive crab crawling across the kitchen floor. There were no open doors, no windows left ajar, and no clear way for it to have gotten inside. Some suggested it might have hitchhiked its way in through a box or a shipment from the coast, but even that didn't fully explain it. How could a sea creature end up alive in the middle of the mountains, inside their home? Cody had lived on his property for 22 years when something unusual caught his attention. While mowing his lawn, he noticed a small, square patch of dead grass that had never been there before. When his mower passed over it, the ground seemed to sink slightly. Curious, he grabbed a shovel and tapped around, revealing the outline of what appeared to be a buried door. He remembered hearing that back in the 1940s. An old cabin once stood on the land before it burned down. Thinking it might be an old well or storm shelter, Cody decided to dig it up. After some effort, he managed to pry it open. The space beneath was filled with water, and even after lowering a 15-foot metal rod, he couldn't reach the bottom. He suspected it could be a well, maybe a septic tank, or something else entirely. Planning to use a pump to drain it, he told viewers he'd update them once he knew more. But later that evening, things took a turn. Strange noises began echoing from underneath his house. When he went to check with his camera, something startled him so badly that he bolted out of the area immediately. Whatever was beneath that hidden door, it's probably better left sealed. While cleaning up an abandoned homeless encampment deep in the woods, Reddit user Hollyweisel311 stumbled upon something deeply unsettling. Amid the scattered trash, old clothes, and broken belongings lay a small, weathered wooden cross. But what made it disturbing was what was fastened to it. Something that appeared to resemble a section of a spine. There was no note, no sign of anyone nearby, and no clear explanation for what it was doing there. Whatever story it once told is long lost, leaving only unease and far more questions than answers. Late one night, a security camera positioned near the edge of a forest road captured something unsettling. In the distance, a pale figure dressed in white appeared to move slowly along the trail, almost gliding rather than walking. Moments later, several stray dogs nearby began barking wildly, reacting to something they clearly didn't like. Whatever they saw, it wasn't normal. No ordinary person would be on that path at that hour, and reaching that spot without a vehicle would be nearly impossible. The footage left many wondering. If it wasn't a person wandering the woods that night, then what exactly was it? Xander, an experienced camper, set out on a solo trip deep into the forest. After hiking for hours, he found a rare flat clearing and built a simple shelter using only a tarp and a few branches. That evening, he cooked himself a quiet steak dinner over the fire and relaxed beneath the stars, watching distant flashes of lightning flicker along the horizon. But a few hours later, everything changed. From somewhere deep in the woods came faint, human-like cries, soft at first, then gradually louder.
What the hell is that noise?
The sounds didn't resemble any animal or gust of wind he'd ever heard. They were deliberate, uneven, almost like someone calling out. Xander sat frozen, listening as the noises crept closer through the dark. When the first light of morning finally appeared, he wasted no time packing up his gear and leaving the site behind. To this day, he still doesn't know what, or who, was out there with him that night. A person staying in a remote mountain cabin captured something truly disturbing on camera. At first glance, the footage appeared to show a spider crawling across a flat surface. Nothing out of the ordinary. But a closer look revealed something far more unsettling. The spider wasn't alive at all. It was being controlled by a parasitic fungus known as cordyceps, the same organism that inspired the infection in The Last of Us. Once the spores infect a host, they take over its body and nervous system, effectively turning it into a puppet. The fungus continues to grow until it ultimately kills the host, using its body to spread more spores. The most chilling part, the spider doesn't even realize it's being controlled, moving slowly, aimlessly, as it dies from the inside out. A man went hunting in the dense, hilly woods of Michigan and set up a game camera to monitor wildlife. Nothing unusual for a trip like that. But when he returned home and reviewed the photos, one image stood out. In the middle of a forest shot, there appeared to be a faint glowing figure, roughly human-shaped, yet unlike anything else in the frame. It wasn't an animal, and there was no visible light source to explain it. The figure seemed to shimmer softly, almost angelic in appearance, standing silently among the trees. No one else was out there, and no object could account for it. Whatever the camera captured that night remains a mystery. A woman living deep in the Appalachian Mountains was home alone when she filmed this short video and shared it on TikTok. In it, she recites a chilling set of local rules, guidelines that longtime residents say are meant to keep you safe in these mountains. The first rule is simple. If you hear something, you didn't. And that's only the beginning. If you hear your name being called from the woods, don't answer. Don't look out the window after dark. If you hear tapping, ignore it. Never whistle at night. Stay on the trail, always. And if something seems almost human, it isn't. Her message ends with a final warning. Don't talk about it too much, because in Appalachia, even speaking of what's out there might be enough to draw its attention. This woman was hiking along the Appalachian Trail when something terrifying occurred.
Holy cow.
A deep, guttural growl echoed through the forest, so loud and unnatural it made her freeze in place. To this day, she says she can't explain what she heard. But here's where things get strange. At the exact moment she stops moving, the sound of crunching leaves continues in the background.
Holy cow.
It's almost as if the noise was added after the fact. So now, the mystery remains. Did she truly capture something terrifying in the woods that day, or was the entire moment carefully staged for views? Another Reddit user posted a new recording from the very same region. The footage once again captured strange movement deep within the trees, though it was too distant and unclear to identify. Some viewers insisted it was just ordinary wildlife, perhaps a deer or a bear caught in low light. They say you're never truly alone in the Appalachian Mountains, and a man who's lived there for years insists it's true. One late night, he recorded something that still haunts him. In the footage, a motionless figure stands just beyond his yard, frozen in place like a statue. But when he looked closer, there were no footprints, no sign that anyone had been there at all, only silence. Since that night, he keeps his curtains drawn and the lights dimmed, uneasy about what he might see if he looks outside again. It's terrifying, but could it be real? That's all for tonight's video. Which encounter gave you chills? Let us know in the comments below. Got your own experience? We want to hear it. And whatever you do, don't miss what's coming next.